Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Polygon's Matic, not to take a look at the recent price action, but where we think things are likely to go in the next bull cycle. Whether that is 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months from now, we do not know, but I do have a pretty good idea as to where I think things could be going for Polygon's Matic. So as I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, you're missing a trick. It's the first place we go to notify you of all the ins and the outs of crypto. So why not go ahead and check it out, linked in the description down below. Okay. Let's actually make a start. Let's start things off by jumping down into what is Polygon, right? What is Matic? Well, Matic is basically a layer 2 for Ethereum. It basically allows for Ethereum to scale. It also means that transactions are a lot cheaper and all of those wonderful things. We've seen recently the NFT marketplace absolutely exploding across the Polygon network, really scaling out what Ethereum's blockchain can do. So I think this is going to do incredibly well, at least for the next few cycles, where I do imagine that Ethereum and Polygon, they're still going to have huge market shares. Okay, so that's kind of the ins and the outs of Polygon's Matic. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the fundamental side of Polygon's Matic. I'll leave that for Chris down in the Discord server and the Patreons, and maybe we'll cover it in a future video. This particular video, however, is going to be all about what I think is likely to happen with Polygon's Matic in the next bullish cycle. So we're all talking, or at least we're going to be talking about the price action specifically in this video. So let's go ahead and jump down into the charts and take a look at what's going on here and where I think things could actually end up going. So let's start things off by just reviewing where we were in the previous cycle. Now, fortunately, Chris was an early adopter of Polygon's Matic. I think he got it in somewhere around here, actually, lower than a cent. Actually, yeah, it's going to be somewhere right close to this bottom, actually. So he did a really, really good job at basically bagging himself some pretty decent priced Matic, right? And we saw explosive moves to the upside. We can obviously see right in here a very, very explosive move to the upside. Now, taking a look at this, there's a few things that we can be really confident on and a few things that we need to kind of be thinking about from a structural point of view. So Polygon's Matic, right? If we go ahead and just grab hold of our percentage moves from March 2020 through to up here, we saw 41,000% in gains, this being May of 2021. The actual all-time high happened over here in December of 2021, and we can see it was 45,000% from this low point. Now, if we actually take it all the way down here, which would be the birth of time back in 2019, we can see it's 109,000% in gains. Okay, so it's been very, very lucrative, and I don't think it's actually finished moving to the upside yet either. Now, we want to kind of consider what is going on with Matic inside this little area here, okay? Because there's a few different things that could have occurred. One particular count that's of interest to me is this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with a really weak wave 5. Wouldn't be too terribly unusual. It's actually an ending diagonal by the looks of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and like so. Okay, now with that, we have to kind of consider, okay, it's an interesting structure, but we have to nest in a few different things. We've got this potential 1, 2. This could be 3, this could be 4, and we could be going up into 5. Okay, so there's a few things that we have to kind of consider. I don't think we're zigzagging. I think we're actually more impulsive across multiple years here. And it's a really interesting kind of structure. Now, we don't have a good wave 1, and that's puts me off this kind of idea a little bit, because we would expect to see a wave 4 and 5, but instead all we did here was break on down and cross over, and then we didn't really get a good run back up again. But we do have this interesting kind of wave 2. So it's possible that there's something going on in there, but it doesn't look very nice personally, in my opinion. Now, it could be that I'm not seeing the correct data, and this is actually the top of wave 1, and all of that was just the wave 5, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, when we have limited amount of data to this side, it's a little bit difficult to be 100% perfect and to kind of think that this is exactly correct. So I'm going to run on the assumption that this is to be conservative in terms of price action. Now, we had a really good low point down here, and anyone who's in our Discord server on the Patreon side of things will know that I happened to scoop up 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. I think it was about 46 cents just down here. And I did this because it was coming towards an end of a structure. And we can see right inside here, if I grab my 5-wave count, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that we finished just down here at 31 cents. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, well, it didn't start at the top here. What was all that about? Well, it's actually 3 down, 3 up, 5 down. So it would just be a regular flat correction, a 335, essentially. So it does look like 31 cents is a really good solid low point. That was up until FTX. FTX, unfortunately, and everything that's associated with FTX, 130 or so companies on the kind of the cusp of or are currently going through bankruptcy. And there's a bit of exposure to 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, which means we might actually see more downside before we get any better. So 31 cents I thought was a really good area. It looks like it held up incredibly well. We moved up, but things have now changed and we might actually start to see a bit more to the downside and potentially as low as 14 cents, which I don't really want to see, but is possible. So we should kind of keep it in mind. Now, with these structures that I've drawn on so far, and in order for us to understand where we could be going with 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, we need to first of all ascertain where is the bottom of this particular move. Now, under the premise of 5 waves like this, we want to kind of understand, how deep has this wave 4 gone, right? There's some typical kind of movements that you would expect to happen when it comes to these high points and low points, right? So if I measure all of this here, we would expect a 618 retracement, and actually that would have been 28 cents. And you can see right here, this basically would have been 38.2% retracement, and if I drew it the other way around, essentially it equates to the 618, but I'll draw it correctly for the sake of this video. If I go ahead and draw it from the bottom here to the top there, you can see it's 28 cents, and you can see that we came down incredibly close to that typical wave 4. So this could be, or would have been, a really good strong place for us. Now, with everything fundamentally that's shifting and changing in the space, we could see a complete breakdown out of this structure. So we want to be a little bit cautious with that, but it does meet those kind of minimum expectations. So as long as we stay above 31.6, then I have a pretty good idea as to what might actually happen next. And that would be coming up here towards these higher ranged targets. So if I go ahead and draw a little yellow box right on here, you can kind of see that we are talking about this area here at $4.93.82. And on the higher range, $11.53.95. Okay, so you can see it right in there. I'm going to actually type these coordinates in so that we have these a little bit more accurately. So 4.9382 on the lower side, and on the higher side, it is 11.5395. Okay, and I'll just draw that in and I'll remove the fibs. So there you go. So that would be the targeted range. Now, that would not be a very good bull run for 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 though. And the reason that I say this is that would be very medium gains. Right? If we take it from this low end down here, where we currently are at 31 cents, up to about here, you're talking, what's that, 1,500, up to a maximum of about 3,500. So not exactly pop in the same way that we saw previously, right? The breakdown of this structure, though, could be really interesting for the future of 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. If this particular pattern doesn't play out, so let's go ahead and remove it, we're just left with this completed 5-wave pattern here with the ending diagonal. Now, if that is the case and we start to focus in on, okay, well, we had this particular pattern here, how low could we potentially go? We take this entire measurement and we take this over to this side, then actually we could be looking at that 14 cent range all the way down here, 14.2, 14.12 even, just like there, okay? And if I remove the fib off of there, you can kind of see, okay, that would be a giant 3-wave drop, 1, 2, and 3, A, B, and C. Okay, and that there would actually then tie us into a potential move here for a zigzag pattern. And a zigzag pattern would be very, very lucrative for 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. So let's go ahead and grab that high point, which I'm probably going to have to expand this up just a fraction, just so I can get that exactly on where I need it to. Let me just grab hold of this. Right there, just drag that down to the very bottom down over here. I'm going to put it right down on this beginning of wave 1. Okay, now that there is 100% measurement. So going from this low to this high is 100%. You can see it there. The green line here is 1 and the bottom white line is 0. So it goes from 0 to 1 or from 0% to 100%. Okay, so we've measured that entire distance. Now, if I move this over to our dashed line here at 14 cents, then we're going to get a 1-to-1 ratio representing this level up here at $64. Now, $64 I think is pushing our luck quite somewhat, but it is an interesting number nonetheless. This actually comes in at 64.1013. So let me go ahead and go 1013 just to make sure that we get that as accurate as possible. And then, that gives us a kind of idea. However, I think it's better to focus in right here, which is the typical areas of retracement where you find resistance. $6.1857 through to the higher $17.2976. Let's go scope those in. So $17 on the $17.29.76 on the high side, and $6.18, type that in, 1857. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and remove those. So now we end up with these kind of interesting kind of range targets. Now, if we do end up going down as low as 14 cent through no fault of Polygon-Matic's fundamentals, but just because of the kind of climate that we're in, plus FTX and everything else, then we're talking about 4,000% up to about 12,000%. And if we were to come up here, we're again talking a 1-to-1 ratio, another 45%. Now, that would basically be the equivalent of taking this high point, this low point, and kind of copying this entire thing all the way up to that higher end there, right? And it would be a 5-wave structure. You'd see this as a 1, 2, come up here, 3, 4, and 5 like that, right? You'd see that in the same way that we had it over this side. Okay, so that's kind of one idea, right? I think $64 is far too high, though. I don't think we're necessarily going to push that much. I could be wrong. We'd have to see a lot of TVL to see that kind of happen. And so I would think let's be optimistic. If we can keep above the 31, we have some pretty medium gains. Like, they're not overly impressive. Probably wouldn't even be worth entertaining Polygon's Matic. The capital will make more gains in other altcoins in that particular case. So we kind of do want to break down lower than 31 cent, and we kind of do want to kind of push this as low as possible. The lower that it goes, the better percentage gains that we have in the next bull run. And I think, aiming for around the $17 on that side, it might not be too bad. I could see Polygon's Matic surging well above $10 anyway, so that's not too much of a problem. $14 would put us at about a 10x, so it's quite small gains. So we're not talking 100x's or anything like that when it comes to Polygon's Matic. Unfortunately, those kind of things have already happened, so just kind of keep those things in mind. When you're buying it down here at 0.0006 and you ride this up to $3, then you're doing incredibly well. So just bear in mind that when these things have really crazy high gains, they don't always repeat themselves. So there's a couple of interesting kind of targets to be thinking about: $4.90 through to about $11, or $6 to $17, and that kind of crazy high level of $64 as potential for Polygon's Matic. So I did want to kind of just do a quick video just to kind of give everyone a bit of an idea as to kind of where I think Polygon's Matic could potentially go in that next cycle, whenever that actually happens to be. In an ideal world, we want Polygon's Matic to go down significantly lower, because that gives us more opportunity and more value later on as time progresses. So we kind of want to see this come down, even though that might not be what a lot of people want to hear. But the lower this thing goes, the potential better outcome it is slightly later down the line. So if you have found this useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe, tap the bell, and you won't miss another video. Join us down in Discord. It is the centralized place of everything that we do Cheeky Crypto, so well worth checking it out in the description down below, guys. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.